The man that she had dropping her off at my house, claiming was her brother, was the dude she was sleeping with.
Correct, Your Honor. It definitely was.
Then next thing you know, he like, shoot, baby, can I come see you? I'm like, yeah, you come see me, what's up? He came to see me in a Stolo, which they call down in St. Louis, it's a stolen car.
That dude jumped out the window.
Yeah, the guy jumping out the window situation.
What happened?
Well, I came out the car. I seen somebody jump out the window, and I'm knocking on the door for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, I wish you would have known so much about. We're talking about that you would have known who your child's father was.
I mean, I was,
but go ahead. School us.
So he come picks me up in the Stolo. So whatnot, and I'm looking out the window, he like, yeah, boo, I'm outside. Next thing you know, here come the police like, freeze. Get out the car. I'm like, really? You came to pick me up in the stolen car?
But a guy just jumped out the window, but you got to knock on your own door.
Exactly.
And so, wait, were you there when the guy jumped out the window? Oh, yeah, I was in my car. I'm looking at him run through the field.
Holy moly, did you see that? Ms. Foster steps into the spotlight and throws down the gauntlet, announcing that Mr. Jackson is the real dad of her kiddo, Jakia. She's super annoyed about him ghosting, just when they had plans to raise this baby together. On the flip side, Mr. Jackson is giving her the stink eye, totally not buying it because he thinks Ms. Foster played the field. But hold your horses, there's more drama brewing.
Ms. Foster, you claim you and your ex-boyfriend planned your pregnancy only to have him abandon you and deny paternity. You are here to prove that he is your daughter, Jakia's biological father. You want him to step up and take care of his daughter.
You won't believe this. Foster isn't holding back. She's all about setting the record straight on the daddy drama. Because, let's face it, the little one's got Mr. Jackson written all over her. She's peeved he's bailing on daddy duties. Mr. Jackson fires back, accusing her of keeping the baby off Instagram to dodge, proving he's the father. Don't go anywhere. The fireworks are just getting started.
I'm opening this case today because, Your Honor, I have a 1-year-old child who we plan on having. She looks like him. He doesn't step up to nothing. I mean, he's posted pictures on social media.
That's not my baby. She don't even post the baby on social media.
I'm not talking about social media. I'm talking about real parenting.
I can't say I admitted to anything because I always say I'll do this and I'll do that.
Whoa there. This is where it heats up. The courtroom dives into the nitty-gritty of their bumpy affair, stirring up stories of past relationships, a new baby on board that Mr. Jackson is now side-eyeing. The air is thick with claims of cheating and hush-hush secrets, sketching out a love story that's anything but smooth. Ms. Foster throws down the gauntlet, insisting she's mom of the year, which Mr. Jackson just laughs off. Buckle up. We're diving deeper into the chaos.
How did this relationship even start?
Relationship started through social media. We found each other through Facebook.
Social media, I should have known.
We found each other through social media, so we had a mutual friend. They vouched for him, said he was a good person, so we jumped into a relationship. I had my first child, and he did come bring us to his mother's house, but he was claiming my first child knowing she wasn't his baby, but then when we planned a baby, he doesn't deny this child at all.
Grab your snacks. This is getting juicy. Amid her declaration of being a supermom, Ms. Foster's brag triggers a heated retort from Mr. Jackson about her so-called secret romances. The story thickens with tales of betrayal and shenanigans, as Mr. Jackson accuses her of cozying up with some guy she calls her brother. As they untangle this messy love knot, keep your eyes peeled. More bombshells are on the way.
He told me I was going to be his baby's mother, because I'm the best mother in the world. That's why he said it.
Actually.
Facts.
No. The man that she had dropping her off at my house, claiming was her brother, was the dude she was sleeping with.
Correct, Your Honor. It definitely was.
Basically what the story was, she already came to my house pregnant by her so-called brother.
Strap in for this wild ride. Flashback to the day Ms. Foster found out she's expecting again, which had her floored in the doctor's office. She wastes no time telling the potential fathers, sparking a wildfire of debate over who's the real dad. The courtroom buzzes as they sift through the timeline of trysts, leaving everyone dizzy. Hang tight, because there's more drama chugging down the track.
I fell to the floor. I did 3 rolls around the floor in the doctor's office because I wasn't having no kids if I'm finna be a single mother to 2 children by myself. I'm 20. So at that point, I told Marquise, because Marquise was there physically, he was gone out of sight, wasn't worried about him. So I told him, I'm pregnant. You could be the father. It's out of you and Sean.
It's getting intense now. Judge Lake jumps in, her eyebrows raised at the circus unfolding before. She points out how insane it is that these two can't get their act together for their little one. The tales of commitment, or the lack thereof, sketch a wild scene. Don't move a muscle. This showdown is about to escalate. Epic levels of crazy.
Yeah, I wish you would have known so much about. We're talking about that you would have known who your child's father was.
I mean, I was,
but go ahead. School us.
School
girls told me you had 2 boyfriends because he had 2 girlfriends, and you was sleeping with them at the same time. Were you having a sexual relationship with the other guy at the same time you were having it with Mr. Jackson?
Not the exact same time.
Brace yourselves for the grand reveal. Jerome wheels in with the DNA test results, and everyone's holding their breath. breath. Is Mr. Jackson the dad or not? Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jackson, you are not the father.
Mr. Jacobs thought he was Samar's dad for 3 whole years and paid all the bills. Now, out of nowhere, his ex, Miss Call, was telling people he might not be the real dad. She said maybe Mr. Daniel Cooper was the actual father. Mr. Jacobs wanted everyone to know that Samar looked just like him, but Mr. Cooper was super quick to say, "Not me." The judge looked confused, trying to figure out who was telling the truth. How did Mr. Jacobs even meet Miss Call? Well, buckle up, because this story was about to get really weird.
Mr. Jacobs, you're on the birth certificate and paying child support for 3-year-old Samar, but say your ex is now telling people that you are not his biological father, and you're suing today to prove that Samar is your son.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Ms. Call, you admit to allowing Mr. Jacobs to name the baby, sign the birth certificate, and pay support for your son.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy tale. Barely a month after they first met, Ms. Call hits Mr. Jacobs with the bombshell. She's pregnant. This sparks a mix of excitement and a storm of doubts about who the baby daddy could be. Imagine this. Mr. Jacobs learns about the pregnancy. Ms. Call turns up at his door, baby bump in tow. Alert the drama squad. This whole scenario spirals into chaos fast, with both sides recalling different versions of how the pregnancy news came to light.
I would say about a month or so, coming back home the first time, my neighbor had told me that, a young lady had stopped by to look for you and everything like that. And the next day, she was actually sitting outside my apartment, and she was sitting with a friend, and, she was fat. All right, I'm pretty shocked by it. I asked, would you like to go for a walk and everything like that? And that's when she had told me that she was pregnant and everything, so
That's not true.
Get your snacks. The main event is here. The birth scene could be ripped from a screenplay. Mr. Jacobs is right there in the delivery room, signing the birth certificate, overwhelmed with emotion as Samar opens his eyes for the first time. Despite the swirling rumors, he's smacked with a gut feeling. He's the dad. He signs the birth certificate, going against his mother's advice, and oh boy, does that crank up the daddy drama to a whole new level. Stick around! The legalese is up next, and it's a real head spinner.
At that moment, were you sure you were this child's biological father?
I was sure about it because when she was in the C-section, they had brought Samar out to me. He had opened up his eyes and he was looking at me, and at that time I felt the connection between him and me. And the nurse there told me that's a rare thing for that to happen. Usually the babies don't open up their eyes.
To peek their eyes, that was a sign.
That was a sign, correct.
Jump into the legal maze with me. The judge clarifies the stakes, noting that putting your name on the birth certificate locks you in as the father. Science aside, this crucial moment of emotional decision at the hospital has Mr. Jacobs wrapped up in legal ties that won't quit. Things are about to heat up with a surprising new development.
That by signing that birth certificate, you were acknowledging paternity. You were saying, I am, by executing this, signing my name here, I become the legal father of this child. And at that point, it's not even about biology. It's about signing the birth certificate means you're the legal father, and that's how you're looked upon.
This is where it shifts into a real-life drama series. Enter Mr. Cooper, the man Ms. Call now suggests might be the legit father. She's all about pointing out how much Samar resembles toddler pics of Mr. Cooper, like they could be clones. However, Mr. Cooper is steadfast in his denial, firm in the definitely not my child camp, adding yet another twist of chaos to the story. Hang tight, the plot's about to thicken even more and the truth gets murkier.
Your Honor, one of Mr. Cooper's family members showed me a picture of Mr. Cooper when he was 3-year-old. My son is 3-year-old now. They look just alike.
And when you saw that picture, you saw your son.
Yes. And every day I look at my son, he looks more and more like Mr. Cooper. He has his same eyes, same nose, same forehead, same ear. He looks nothing like Mr. Jacobs.
What's next? Oh, it's time for the money talks. The conversation turns to child support, with Mr. Jacobs showcasing proof of his payments. This segment underscores how his signature on the birth certificate has his wallet in a vice, while Ms. Call continues to promote the Mr. Cooper paternity theory. It's a whirlwind of financial and emotional upheaval, folks. Get ready, the DNA shocker is just around the corner.
When I was living in Niagara Falls, we actually had communication the same way. I was helping her out, giving her formula and diapers too, and he was telling me that, yeah, she wanted to do a DNA test, but she never came around to do it. So he didn't really know who the father was. I was just stuck being the father.
And you're now paying child support.
I have information, me paying child support. I paid.
Are you ready for the big reveal?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Cooper, you are not the father.
I knew it.
Buckle up, because here we go. Miss Richardson kicks things off by saying she and Mr. Smith were all lovey-dovey, planning to start a family together. But just after baby Kalani makes her debut, Mr. Smith flips the script, starts denying he's the dad. She's all about proving how pumped Mr. Smith originally was to have a baby, but then paints a picture of him changing his tune faster than a DJ at a dance party. Strap in, because it's only going to get wilder from here.
Ms. Richardson, you say you were in an exclusive relationship with Mr. Smith and even tried to have a baby together. But after you conceived your daughter Kalani, Mr. Smith started denying your baby.
Yes, Your Honor.
You intend to prove he is the father today.
Wait, what? Mr. Smith throws a curveball, saying he wasn't even in town when Kalani was supposed to be conceived. He hints he knows who the real daddy might be, stirring up a pot of drama soup with his claim of being out of the picture. And just when you think you've seen it all, the next bit dials up the drama.
Mr. Smith, while you admit to having a relationship with Ms. Richardson, you say you were not in town during the window of conception and claim to know who the father is.
Hold your horses, folks! Miss Richardson lays out the timeline like a pro, insisting that Mr. Smith was all in on having a mini-me because he wasn't sure how long he'd be around. She's dropping dates and details, trying to show they were together when Kalani was conceived, including cozy appointment visits. It's getting hot in here. And guess what? The emotional roller coaster is just leaving the station.
Around the time we were together for about 8 months, he had told me he was in a situation where he didn't know if he were going to live a long time, so he had said he wanted a child with me. Me being young and dumb and I was actually in love with him, I agreed on it. He had sent for him to come in town for the weekend, so we can go home on weekend. That day we did have sex, and that's whenever my daughter was conceived.
Whoa, grab your popcorn. Miss Richardson gets teary telling us how Mr. Smith was all about having a baby at first. The court's digging into Mr. Smith's wishy-washy feelings, while Miss Richardson is standing her ground, claiming he wanted to leave a piece of himself behind. The stage is set for some serious heart-to-heart, and you won't believe what's coming next.
Well, she was like,
No.
she have baby fever.
No.
And I was
That's
like,
not at all. I did not
wow.
have baby fever. I was only
She
19
was
years
talking to me the
old.
whole time on the bus talking. She got baby fever.
That was actually him.
And I basically was like, well, we both agree we want to have a baby. We can have a baby, like we could, start trying to have one.
The judge isn't having any of it and serves up some real talk. She advises Miss Richardson about the serious biz of baby making and the forever kind of changes it brings. Mr. Smith's casual attitude gets a major side eye from the judge. Oh boy, get ready, because the next part dives even deeper into this soap opera.
Ms. Richardson, I can't let you go any further unless I just have a moment with you.
Okay.
You cannot have babies by everybody you feel like you fall in love with. I can see, we about 3 minutes in, and I can see that you decided you had fallen in love with him. Everything you heard come out his mouth was through the lens of love that you had created.
You'll need extra butter for this popcorn. As the saga continues, Mr. Smith shares his side. Yeah, he was excited at first about the baby news, but then the doubt monster started creeping in. He suspects Miss Richardson might have played away games, if you catch my drift. The plot thickens, and yep, there's more family drama just around the corner.
I actually was excited.
You were excited?
Yes, ma'am.
At what point do you feel doubtful then?
I was doubtful at.
Well, why you all have been planning for this?
I thought she probably found somebody else outside of Job Corps.
I
Probably
called
got
him
old
every day.
friends.
He called me every day. I worked 11 at night, so there was no time I could cheat at all. I called him.
Mr. Smith disagrees. He's shaking his head when you
We
testify.
were with each other almost every weekend. Every time I went home, he went home.
Enter the twin sister, Brianna Smith, who's here to spill some serious tea. She backs up some of what Mr. Smith's been saying and gives us the inside scoop on the baby plans and the excitement that was in the air. But as she talks, you can feel the tension rise. And just when you think it can't get any more intense, we hear from another family member who turns the emotion dial up to 11.
She, when we were cool with each other, she would confide in me about my brother. When she did tell him about it, he was excited about it to a certain. At first he didn't.
So he was excited?
Yeah.
And you remember this?
Yeah. He didn't tell me that he had any doubt about anything. It just, progressed, I guess, with him even more when got further along. And she, her attitude is very, very vicious.
Get out the tissues, because it's about to get emotional. Twins mom, Darlene Bagley, steps up and shares her deep hopes that Kalani is her granddaughter, touching on the family's heartstrings and their struggles. She's rooting for a happy ending, but admits the family drama and the mysterious video have her worried. And hold on to your hats, because the DNA results are up next, and they're a doozy.
Do you believe Kalani is your granddaughter?
Yes, I do. They always did, but I stayed neutral, because I didn't want to get in between. I'm on my son's side, but that's my everything in me. He was holding the baby and kissing on her. I'm like, I don't even know this. If you're a godfather, Why we don't know you? Where did you come from?
Every time he gets mad, he said, "Oh, that's not my daughter. Oh, that's not my daughter."
Here it comes, the big reveal. Court reads out the DNA results, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Smith.
Get ready for a shocker. Ms. King drops a big truth bomb, saying Mr. Porter's denial about being the dad has messed up their relationship big time. She's super eager for today's results to clear up all the mess. Buckle up because it's about to get even crazier.
Miss King, you are here to prove to your on-again, off-again boyfriend, Mr. Porter, that your 3-year-old son, Kylan, is his biological child. You say his denial has destroyed your relationship, and you need today's result to set the record straight.
You won't believe this. Ms. King spills the beans about making up a story that she was pregnant just to get back with Mr. Porter after they split. The audience couldn't believe their ears. And guess what? The next part is even more of a doozy.
And then what happens when you find out you're pregnant, Miss King?
Told him that I was pregnant, but I really wasn't pregnant.
Oh! Now, all right, Mr. Porter. So then Miss King admits she lied and said she was pregnant. What happens? You're pregnant, what happened?
At the time, she told me she was pregnant. So I decided, because I didn't have my father in my life, I decided I'm gonna step up to the plate regardless.
Hold on to your popcorn, because here's another twist. While explaining her tale, Ms. King lets slip that a month after her fake pregnancy story, she actually got pregnant for real. Talk about confusing, and the plot thickens. Keep watching.
But maybe about a month after her telling me she was pregnant, walked in the room with a pregnancy test, and was just waving it around like she was pregnant. I was confused. Then I started to think, like, how you pregnant? You know, like, if a month went by and you now pregnant, I was confused, like, I can't be the father. Like, that don't make no sense.
So you thought she had been with another guy,
yeah,
and was really trying to pin the baby on you, either trap you with this baby, because she wanted to stay with you.
Right, right.
Oh boy, here's a kicker. Ms. King admits she fibbed about being pregnant at first. This whole thing stirs up a big talk on why trust is a huge deal in relationships, especially with all these twists and turns. The drama's not over. There's more jaw-dropping stuff up next.
So then you were pregnant, but he doesn't believe that.
No, he doesn't believe it.
How you pregnant?
But you didn't even know I was lying about my pregnancy until recent. I just came out clear and told you I even lied about being pregnant during that time.
Right.
But you did let him know that you lied. Once you lie and someone catches you in a lie, everything you say, you looking going, is he lying? Is she lying? That's just how it works. That's what trust is about.
Imagine Mr. Porter's face when he finds texts on Ms. King's phone from another dude while they're at the hospital. The drama level is off the charts. You might want to sit down for this. Things are about to get even wilder.
When she was pregnant, like in the hospital, you know, giving birth to Kylan, she, you know, she was like, you could say drained, tired, you know, so she went to sleep. I grabbed the phone and I seen some text messages between her and another guy. So that right there was like.
But why were you going through my phone? We're not together.
This is a picture of you in the hospital.
Correct, when he was first born.
Now take a deep breath. Mr. Porter talks about a health issue from when he was a kid. He had a bad case of lead poisoning, which he thinks might mess with his chances of having kids. This adds a whole new layer of drama to the story. Don't go anywhere. The big reveal is just around the corner.
Your Honor, at the same token, I have a medical problem. When I was a child, I was diagnosed with the second highest case of lead poisoning in the state of New York. And I'm 26 right now, and I've never had any children at all until this situation.
Wait for it. Bam! The results are in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Porter, you are the father.
Buckle up, here comes the circus. Ms. Torrey and Ms. Henderson march into court, each pointing fingers at Mr. Goodson for not admitting he's the dad to their kids. Ms. Torrey says he's dodging daddy duties for her 2 munchkins, and Ms. Henderson claims he's bailing on her 4-year-old darling. They both want the judge to make him face the music and pay up for his kiddos.
You have joined together because you, Ms. Torrey, claim the defendant is denying he is the father of your 2 kids. And Ms. Henderson, you state Mr. Goodson refuses to take responsibility for your old daughter and enforce his financial obligations as a father.
Hold on to your socks because they're about to get knocked off. Mr. Goodson hopes the DNA test will make him the official dad, although he's not too sure because, oops, both ladies might have had other beaux when babies were made. He spills the tea about possible cheating shenanigans, and the judge's ears perk up for the scandalous scoop. The plot thickens, so don't go anywhere.
You claim Ms. Torrey has admitted that she cheated on you in the past, and she is also not confident the children's biological father.
Yes.
Although you are actually hoping the test proves that you are. Ms. Henderson slept with you and and your cousin in the same time frame, and therefore you can't be sure her daughter is yours.
You're not gonna believe this one. Ms. Henderson tells a wild tale about Mr. Goodson picking her up in a stolen car. Yep, like a real-life car thief. Just as they were cruising, the cops flash their lights and it's game over. She paints him as Mr. Reckless, and we're all just eating up the drama. Wait for it. The ride gets bumpier.
Then next thing you know, he like, shoot, baby, can I come see you? I'm like, yeah, you can come see me, what's up? He came to see me in the Stolo, which they call down in St. Louis, it's a stolen car. So he come picks me up in the Stolo, so whatnot, and I'm looking out the window, he like, yeah, boo, I'm outside. Next thing you know, here come the police like, freeze, get out the car. I'm like, really? You came to pick me up in the stolen car?
Just when you think it can't get any wilder, enter Mr. Thomas, Mr. Goodson's cousin, who throws another curveball by admitting to a boozy one-night fling with Ms. Henderson. It was just a bit of fun, he says, but oh boy, does it throw a wrench into the who's the daddy mystery. Keep your eyes peeled because the family tree is getting tangled.
What was your relationship with Miss Henderson?
It's just like a friendship, one-night thing, you know how it be, some night.
Oh my God. I'm gonna need you to repeat that.
I said it just
a little louder.
It's like a one-night thing, you know how it be, some nights you might get drunk.
Right. Okay, so it's a one-night stand. So either you or your cousin, Mr. Goodson, is the father.
Yes, ma'am.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Drum roll, please. The DNA results are in, and guess what?
It has been determined that when it comes to 4-year-old Lazasia, Mr. Goodson, you are the father.
Yeah.
Buckle up, folks. Mr. Smith just dropped a bombshell, saying he's got medical proof and a surprise witness lined up to show he's not the daddy of little honesty. He's pretty sure his evidence and his mystery guest will seal the deal on his case. Just you wait. The next bit is a hoot.
Mr. Smith, you say you have medical evidence to prove you are not Honesty's father, and if that's not enough, your bombshell witness will close your case. The plaintiff's very own sister says you are not the father.
Hold on to your socks because Ms. Hicks is not having any of it. She's all torn up, saying she's only been with Mr. Smith and can't believe her own sister is taking his side. It's a real soap opera in here, and guess what? It's about to get even juicier.
So, Ms. Hicks, how does it make you feel hearing Mr. Smith deny paternity?
I know I've only slept with him, and I know who my children belong to. Hearing this from him and him getting it from my own full-blooded, it just bores me.
Tell the truth.
It bores me.
She telling false lies, okay? I know for a fact that he was not the only one she was
in the
sleeping
same
with.
bed with me when I'm sleeping with these people. I get.
Oh boy, Mr. Smith is getting all technical on us. He tells the judge about a big oopsie at the gym that led to a doctor telling him he can't be a dad. He's got papers and everything to prove it. Stick around because things are going to get even spicier.
You hear the allegations that have been stated thus far. This is what leads you to believe you are not the biological father of Honesty?
Yes, Your Honor.
Explain.
And one time I strained myself too hard and I had to go to the hospital and the doctor told me that I couldn't have kids, that my testicles had dropped by that time.
I'd like to look at that.
Whoa, did someone turn up the heat? Ms. Hicks and her sister are throwing shade like it's sunny. They're arguing back and forth about who's the cheater and who's the liar. It's getting wild in here, and you won't believe what's coming up next.
Did you inform Ms. Hicks about this when you all were in a sexual relationship?
No, Your Honor, never informed me about any of this. When he did tell me 2 months after Honesty was born, like, she's living proof that you can have kids. I didn't make this baby myself.
Dang well, that is
Like,
not my
I
baby.
can't climb on top of myself and get pregnant.
You know dang well that's
It's
not
not
my
possible.
baby.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more bananas, Mr. Smith talks about finding some sneaky texts on Ms. Hicks's. He thinks those messages are solid proof she was playing around. Keep your eyes peeled because the next part is a real doozy.
I went through her phone and found text message. And it said when I can get that kitty cat.
Oh, you saw a text message?
Yes, Your Honor.
Exchanged to the court. The other guy said, I miss that kitty cat. And Ms. Hicks responded, you know he leaves, so you can come over anytime. You saw this message and you feel like she was definitely sleeping around.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're not gonna believe this one. Mr. Smith caught a guy jumping right out of Ms. Hicks's window. Talk about an escape artist. He thinks she's been up to no good, and the dude had to bail in a flash. The tale gets even wilder from here.
That dude jumped out the window.
Yeah, the guy jumping out the window situation.
What happened?
Well, I came out the car I seen somebody jump out the window, and I'm knocking on the door for like 30 minutes.
But a guy just jumped out the window, but you gotta knock on your own door.
Exactly.
And so wait, were you there when the guy jumped out the window?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I was in my car. I'm looking at him run through the field.
After all that drama, the baby arrives, and Mr. Smith is all mixed up with his feelings. He even helped pick the baby's name, but still doubts he's the dad. The roller coaster's not over yet. Hang on, because the truth is just around the corner.
So when you saw the baby, Mr. Smith, did you feel like the baby looked like you were excited? What's going on here?
Because I felt sorry for her because she could have lost her life.
Honestly, you chose one of her middle names, which is Monique.
Do you have any other kids?
No, Your Honor.
You don't. So you believe it's the hypogonadism that contributes or has affected you so that you could not father any children.
Tears alert. Ms. Hicks is really feeling the sting from all the family drama, especially with her sister stirring up trouble. It's hitting her hard, folks. The big reveal is up next, and it's a real cliffhanger.
And I can see that hurts you.
It devastates the...
Why do you say it devastates you, Ms. Hicks?
Because it's coming from my full-blooded sister. We have the same mom, same dad. As
Because
close
I know
as
what
we
you
are,
do, Carlisha.
we're very close.
No, we argue,
okay? Like,
Your Honor, we argue just about every day.
The
We're
same
close
way I
because
take care of him, the
we
same
all
way
we
I
got.
take care of her.
Get ready for the grand finale. The DNA results are in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Smith, you are the father. What next? And I have to ask you, do you believe you are Skyla's biological father?
Yes, ma'am.
You do?
That's her ex-boyfriend, my daughter's.
Wait a minute now. Miss Cooper, this is your ex-boyfriend?
Yes, Your Honor.
That was a mistake, Your Honor.
And that is not the person that was supposed to stay in that apartment. It was someone from California that was advised to me. That's who was going to stay in the
She wanted
apartment
me to
with
stay
my
in the
son.
apartment after her son passed
You
away.
came
when she
and
was
stayed
moving,
there when you were
Yes, I
pregnant.
did come to stay there. And the time when I was staying there, and after I moved back to my parents' big house.
Okay, hold on.
So her ex is your friend?
Yeah, told me if I...
Now we're getting places.
Well, we were
okay.
friends. We were friends.
So you went over there, got the car, but when you get to her house, your boy's girl was flirting.
No, she didn't flirt till I left. Like 5 minutes later, she sends me a text message.
Oh.
Get ready for some wild stuff. Ms. Autry claims Ms. Martin is tricking her son by saying her daughter Skyla is his kid. She's super sure she has proof that Skyla isn't her granddaughter. The room is buzzing because both sides are ready to rumble. Stick around. The excitement is just starting.
Ms. Autry, you say the defendant is taking advantage of your son by pinning a baby on him, and you have physical proof that her 2-year-old daughter Skyla is not your grandchild.
Oh boy, did that really just happen? Ms. Martin stands her ground, saying Ms. Autry just doesn't like her, and that's why she's denying Skyla is her granddaughter. She's really hoping the DNA test will clear things up. It's getting tense as Ms. Martin looks for a thumbs up from the court. The show's just getting good. Don't go anywhere.
Ms. Martin, you claim that the plaintiff is a monster-in-law and is denying your daughter only because she doesn't like you. You need help and hope to get some once the results are revealed.
Wow, things just got spicy. The judge steps in as Ms. Autry throws some not-so-nice words at Ms. Martin. The judge wants everyone to play nice so they can get to the bottom of this mess. The court's trying to keep things cool, but the heat's still on. Guess what happens next? It's a hoot.
Well, she entrapped my son by marrying him, by giving him things like money, clothes, cars, and she just wanted a man to call her uncle. She ain't no old tramp.
Wait a minute now. Let's use respectful language. I want to understand this. You say she entrapped him, but she's giving him money. She's doing this. She wanted a man of her own.
Yes,
Miss
ma'am.
Autry, really? Why would you say that, Miss Autry?
Because you do, Miss Tramp.
You've got to hear this. Ms. Autry tells a wild tale about trying to crash Ms. Martin's wedding. She found out last minute and dashed over there to put a stop to it, showing just how far she'd go to break things up. This bit is just nuts, and just when you think it can't get any zanier, it does.
Because I got a phone call, so I was getting married down to my house, so I was on my way walking down there to start the marriage to my friend. That's why I was going out to go start the wedding.
Tried to
when
stop
I
the
got
wedding,
dropped
Your Honor.
off down,
She tried
they
to stop the
moved
wedding.
way too close so you can get married to him.
You can't talk that fast, then turn to the side. I can't even read your lips. I felt like I was at an auction or something. Like, with an auction, I was like, what?
Just when I thought it was all over. Despite Ms. Autry's wedding crash attempt, Ms. Martin says they just moved the party elsewhere and tied the knot anyway. The whole wedding crew just picked up and moved, showing they're not giving up without a fight. And the craziness doesn't stop there. More wild stuff is on the way.
But you all ended up getting married on that day anyway, in another location.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did your whole wedding party follow you? Now I'm curious.
Yes.
Miss Autry trailing behind? Well, I don't get how that worked.
I didn't have no choice. I ain't had no car. If I'd had a car, I went right on behind them. And there wouldn't have been no wedding.
She's crazy, Your Honor.
Honor.
So you've never cared for Miss Martin?
It ain't so much as I never cared for Miss Martin. It's just that
this part is too funny. Ms. Autry is now talking about toes and eyebrows, claiming these bits don't match up so Skyla can't be her grandkid. The judge is trying to keep a straight face listening to this toe tale. Hold on, because there's more funny business coming up.
she don't have the toes like my son. His toes cross, his big toe is here and his toe next to his
overlap.
toe. It crossed over like that. And I have proof, Your Honor, that is not his baby because her toes don't do that.
Yes, they do,
and she
Your
don't have
Honor.
the thick eyebrows as me and my son and my daughter have. So I know
they
that's
haven't
not my
grew
son's
yet.
baby.
I mean, they grew.
All right,
You
cool.
act like she's supposed to come out with full-blown eyebrows.
She do.
No, she does.
He did.
All right.
You won't see this one coming. Ms. Martin drops a bombshell. She once told her hubby Skyla might not be his to hurt him because he had hurt her. This big reveal throws a curveball into the whole paternity puzzle, and everyone in the court is on the edge of their seats. The next part is even more jaw-dropping.
You told him, your husband, that this was not his child?
Yes, Your Honor. I was trying to hurt him. He left me to go be with another woman, and I was trying to hurt him like he hurted me.
Did you sleep with another man?
Yes, Your Honor. Prior to him coming back into my life.
And she was already pregnant.
No,
Is there any chance that man could be Skyla's biological father?
No, Your Honor.
Get a load of this twist. Just when you thought it was all figured out, Mr. Gott steps into the picture, claiming he might be Skyla's dad. This guy used to date Ms. Autry's daughter, which just makes everything more of a soap opera. You'll totally flip when you hear what he has to say.
And I have to ask you, do you believe you are Skyla's biological father?
Yes, ma'am.
You do?
That's her ex-boyfriend, my daughter's.
Wait a minute now. Miss Cooper, this is your ex-boyfriend?
Yes, Your Honor.
That was a mistake, Your Honor.
Ms. Martin, you slept with your sister-in-law's boyfriend?
Yes,
Now
Your
who
Honor.
crazy, Your Honor?
That was before, Your Honor.
Are you ready for the grand finale? They finally open the envelope with the DNA results. And guess what?
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Martin.
I'll take that for 200, Your Honor. I told you.
And you believe this? Ms. Hall is super mad at Mr. Richards because he won't admit he's the dad of their 1-month-old Damani. She and her mom are totally ticked off, saying Mr. Richards is ignoring them and the baby. Just wait for what's coming up next. It's a doozy.
Ms. Hall, you and your mother are furious with the defendant because he denies your 1-month-old son, Damani, and does nothing to support him.
Oh boy, did that just happen? Mr. Richards is tossing back the blame, claiming Ms. Hall just wants him to be the daddy because she likes him too much. He tells her to go find the real dad because it ain't him. Hang tight, the judge has got a zinger coming up.
Mr. Richards, you believe that Ms. Hall is claiming you are the father because she wants to be with you. You say Ms. Hall was thirsty for love and she needs to go find her child's real dad.
Whoa, did he really just say that? When the judge asks if he's done anything for the baby, Mr. Richards is like, nope, nothing. He's sticking to his story that he's not the dad. No way, no how. Buckle up because the courtroom's about to get even spicier.
Mr. Richards, you haven't done anything for the child at all.
No,
admittedly.
Ma'am. No, ma'am.
And that's because you sincerely doubt paternity?
Yes.
What's the nature of this relationship? Tell me, what was going on here? The baby's just 1 month old and everything fell apart already?
You gotta hear this. Ms. Hall spills the beans about their past. They dated before, then he ghosted her. But guess what? He texted her again and bam, back together for a hot minute. Don't wander off. The plot thickens in a flash.
A couple of years back, he broke my heart. Then I decided he hit me up to give him another chance.
You all were boyfriend and girlfriend a couple years ago, or you were just dating?
We're dating.
And then somehow he comes back into the picture because if he's potentially the father of
He instant
Damani,
messages hitting her up, talking about, hey, and it went from there.
So you reached back out to her, Mr. Richards?
Yes, ma'am.
You did do that?
Yes.
Hold your socks. It's about to get wild. They dive into this whole thirsty business, with Mr. Richards explaining it means tricking someone with sweet nothings just to get what you want. Stick around because the truth gets even juicier.
So how is she thirsty if he hit her up?
Thirst is going both ways, ma'am.
But he called her thirsty, though.
I would admit
How
I was
is it
being
going both ways
thirsty
when he called her
also.
thirsty?
Okay, hold on. What
So-
does thirst mean? Does thirst mean, what does that mean?
Let me tell you, it's the fact that I knew I wasn't gonna have a long relationship with her, but when you feed somebody the lines that you know they wanna hear, that's thirst to get what you want from them.
Get this, Ms. Hall and Mr. Richards only chilled for a week. They got back together, didn't bother with protection, and whoops, here comes trouble. Don't flip the channel. The judge's reaction is priceless.
It ended bad, but in the same token, I did like him. When he hit me up, it kind of, I think I should give him another chance. chance maybe it'll work out this time. But
all right. At what point, so you all start obviously having sex again, using protection all the time or not?
No.
So how long did this relationship go on?
Basically a week.
A week?
Oh snap, Ms. Hall didn't even want to tell Mr. Richards about the baby at first because he was such a jerk when they split. She kept it hush-hush until her mom nudged her to spill the beans. Keep your eyes peeled, big reveal is just moments away.
At what point did you find out you were pregnant?
When I was 4 months.
Did you immediately think it was Mr. Richards' child?
I knew, but I didn't want to tell him because how we broke up and how disrespectful he was to me. I didn't tell nobody until me and my mom sat down.
I told her, even if it's gonna be a problem, tell him so he can't never say that he didn't know and that you never told him.
Here it comes, the big kahuna. The DNA results are in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Richards, you are the father.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Buckle up, Buttercup. Angela Monroe kicks off the show with a real soap opera scenario. Her son has passed, and a lady named Shaneka claims she's carrying his baby. Angela, battling a serious illness, desperately wants to know if the little one is indeed her grandkid. Stick around, it gets even spicier.
My name is Angela Monroe. My son Herbert died on January 27, 2015. After my son passed, a young lady named Shaneka Reed, just the defendant, told me that she was pregnant from my son. The baby was born on May 31st, 2016. I really would like to know if Iyanna Monroe is my granddaughter.
Guess what popped up at the funeral? Angela spills the beans about how she found out about Shaneka's bun in the oven right after her son's funeral. Talk about a shocker. The drama is just warming up, folks.
How and when did you find out about Ms. Reed's pregnancy?
I found out after my son passed, after his funeral. She came by the house and she said, I have something to tell you. And she said, well, I'm pregnant. I really didn't know what to say at first. I was kind of stunned because I wasn't expecting that.
And so how far along was Ms. Reed when she told you?
I believe it was about 5 months.
And boom! Shaneka drops a bomb about her pregnancy to Angela, who just lost her only child. Shaneka was halfway to her due date by then. Next up, watch the tempers start to flare.
After a week after her son passed and after she laid him to rest, I called her. I wasn't even gonna let her know that I was pregnant with his child, but I was encouraged by family members and friends due to the fact that she has lost her only. So I gave her a call. I told her that I was pregnant by her son, and I told her that I was almost 5 months pregnant.
Things start getting a bit sticky here. Angela chats about how tight she was with her son, who never peeped a word about Shaneka or any baby-making business. Hold on to your popcorn because the tea is about to spill.
So, Ms. Monroe, you were very close to your son.
Yes.
And did he ever tell you the fact that he may have a baby on the way?
Knowing my son, he would come to me about certain things, but when it came to her being pregnant, that wasn't mentioned to me at all. I do have a granddaughter, which he let me know that this person was pregnant, but I had no knowledge of this baby.
Ready for a twist? Shaneka paints a lovey-dovey picture of her and Angela's son planning to shack up together, which Angela quickly calls bogus, insisting the apartment lease was in her name too. Ooh, the plot thickens.
Second week on us hanging together, he already had made it up in his mind that he wanted me to be his life companion. When she was moving out, I was supposed to move into his apartment.
Had you met Ms. Monroe? Did you meet his mother?
Yes, I did meet her.
And the thing about, that was our apartment, me and my son's apartment.
You even said this is Ian's apartment.
Yikes, raise your shields. A fiery debate breaks out over who paid what and who lived where, digging up a whole garden of beef between Angela and Shaneka. And guess what? It's not over yet.
Nobody can take my son. God took my son from me. I wasn't gonna leave my son to be anywhere else. And that is not the person that was supposed to stay in that apartment. It was someone from California that was advised to me. That's who was gonna stay in the apartment.
She wanted me to stay in the apartment after her son passed away.
When she was stayed there when you were pregnant.
Yes, I did come to stay there, and the time when I was staying there, and after I moved back to my parents' big house.
Okay, hold on.
Hold your horses. Here comes a doozy. Post-baby birth, Angela's thrilled but skeptical, especially when Shaneka starts pressing for DNA test money. Tension's cranking up, and you won't want to miss what's next.
They called me after the baby was born. Of course I was excited. Well, if you don't have nothing for her, you're gonna pay for the DNA. That costs $400. I said, well, you pay half, I'll pay half.
Why would I pay half on a DNA test that I'm not gonna get the results results from. And then you could just say, oh no, I got the results, and then say, you're not the grandmother of this baby. No, I'm not gonna pay. That's what you don't understand.
All right, everyone, lean in. As the DNA results are about to drop, Judge Lake tries to simmer down the feuding duo, hoping to patch things up for the sake of the kiddo involved. The big reveal is on its way, and it's a game changer.
Ms. Reed, if in fact this is Mr. Monroe's biological daughter, would you allow Miss Monroe a chance to be in her life and be a grandmother and get to know her son's daughter?
I would not stand in the way of that relationship. I would not.
That's what I wanted to hear. Let's focus on the paternity question. Let's focus on Iyanna, because ultimately that's what's important.
Here it comes, the big kahuna.
The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Angela Monroe and Iyanna Monroe is 99.98%.
Things kick off with a bang in the courtroom. Judge Lake gets everyone seated, and Jerome rolls out the case of Bell vs. Clemens. Mr. Bell claims he's shelled out $7,000 on a kiddo he sure isn't his, and accuses his ex, Ms. Clemens, of pulling the wool over his eyes. He's betting all his chips that the DNA test will clear his name. Strap in, folks. The roller coaster is just leaving the station.
Mr. Bell, you say you've spent approximately $7,000 caring for a child you are positive is not your son, and you know who the father is. You say your ex-girlfriend, Ms. Clemens, duped you into believing her 8-month-old son, Major, is yours, but you are certain today's DNA test will prove you are not the father.
Hold on to your popcorn. Here comes a curveball from Ms. Clemens. She throws Mr. Bell's accusations right back, insisting the DNA test will show he's indeed the daddy of little Major. She talks up all the stuff Mr. Bell has done for them, like moving states and buying loads of baby gear, making it clear he's been super involved. Buckle up. It's about to get even wilder from here.
Ms. Clemens, you say Mr. Bell's accusations are false, and you're certain the test will prove Major is his son. So, Mr. Bell, what have you done for Ms. Clemens and her son?
I've done everything, Your Honor. I moved from California to go be out there with her with the baby, diapers, car notes, strollers, boxes, done everything that I feel like a father should do for his child. So I've done it all.
Mr. Bell drops a bombshell that turns heads in the courtroom. He's all twisted up about the baby's looks, especially his lighter skin, which doesn't match his expectations. He drops a hint about a white guy buzzing around Ms. Clemens, which cranks up his worry meter about who the real dad might be. Crowd can't help but gasp. You won't believe what flies out of the hat next.
So why do you feel she duped you?
Cause the baby looked like, this baby, I'm expecting a chocolate baby, and this baby came out white.
Come on now, my son's life is not a game. Every baby comes out light.
You're saying the only reason you believe Miss Clemens duped you is because the child didn't come out the shade you thought it should?
Yeah, and there's a white guy involved. That's why.
Ms. Clemens grabs the mic to clear the air. She explains the white guy is just a client who wanted his hair braided. Nothing fishy there. She stresses there was zero romance, just some hair business. The court buzzes as they chew on this new tidbit about racial expectations and innocent hair appointments. Get ready for a twist that'll make your head spin.
So far as the white guy, we had no physical. He texted me. The day that he seen the message, we actually met the day before that, and he wanted me to do his hair. It was never nothing physical, nothing. So
wait, the white guy wanted you to do his hair?
Yes.
The white guy won't braid.
He has braids in his hair.
Okay, I actually have seen that before. So he wanted to get his hair braided. You're saying you've never heard of such?
Here comes the showstopper, Mr. Bell's photo evidence. Pulls out a photo book to prove his point about the baby's unexpected light skin, even throwing in a baby morph pic to show what he thought the baby would look like. It's his way of saying, something's fishy here, folks. Hang tight, because the next reveal is a doozy.
Okay, Your Honor, this is me. As you can see, I'm dark skinned, not super dark, but I'm a dark skinned, you know what I'm saying, fella. And this is Miss Clemens, and you see she's like a cinnamon brown, you know what I'm saying? So I did a baby morph, what looked like with all, you know, with it being us, and this is what I got. And then this is my son. And this is what come out. This is how he come out, a white boy with an afro.
The moment of truth.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Bell, you are the father.
Thank you. Thank you. It took all of this. It took all of this just to show you. It doesn't make sense. It took all of this.
Guess what? This circus is just getting started. We dive into the case of Kane versus Wright, where the air is thick with drama over who's the daddy of little Ariana. Everyone's on edge, waiting to see how this wild ride of trust issues and bumpy love unfolds. Get ready, the roller coaster is leaving the station.
Ms. Kane, now you say you've had an on-again, off-again relationship with Mr. Wright past 3 years. In addition to questions regarding your daughter's paternity, you say your relationship has suffered from instability and constant mistrust.
Yikes, talk about starting off with a bang. Mr. Wright is throwing shade left and right, doubting he's the father because of Ms. Kane's so-called fibs. He's ready to bolt if the test says he's not the dad. Talk about high stakes. Strap in, it's about to get bumpier.
Mr. Wright, you say that Ms. Kane has repeatedly lied to you, and you have every reason to doubt the paternity of 1-year-old Ariana. Now, you confess that if the results of today's paternity test prove you are not the biological father, you plan to walk out of this courtroom and have nothing to do with Miss Kane again.
Whoa, things just got twisty. Plot thickens with a tangled web of X's and oopsies. Everyone's up in each other's business, blurring the lines between past flings and current Klingons. Keep your eyes peeled. The next turn is a doozy.
So her ex is your friend?
Yeah, told me if I...
Now we're getting places.
Well, we were
okay.
friends. We were friends.
So you went over there, got the car, but when you get to her house, your boy's girl was flirting.
No, she didn't flirt till I left. Like 5 minutes later, she sends me a text message.
Oh.
Here comes the wacky part. The plot jumps to a whole new level of crazy when we find out Ms. Kane might have been a bit too friendly with a tow truck dude right after meeting him. Ooh, the drama. Hang on, there's more wackiness ahead.
So you started dating?
Yes.
And at some point during this time, you got pregnant?
Yes.
Well, before that, I mean, we started dating, then her ex-boyfriend's always sleeping in her bed with her.
What?
No, it wasn't like that. He came over to my house because when he helped me move in, he needed somewhere to stay. My friend was sleeping on the couch. We had
What about
separate
the
beds.
floor? Now, you know you're in court, Miss Kane.
Yes.
Get a load of this mess. The courtroom is buzzing with tales of double dates and sneaky meetups. It's like a soap opera in here, with all the backstabbing and jaw-dropping gossip. You won't believe what's up next.
I don't believe that at all. There was one instance. She went out, she lied to me, told me her friend, they were gonna have a girls' night out. Well, my boy was a door guy at the bar. Come to find out, her ex's friend, and her girl were all on double dates together.
We were on a double date. One of my friends, she asked me to go with her to meet this guy. My ex was there too with his boy.
And you thought it couldn't get messier. It's a free-for-all with exes popping up like whack-a-moles and everyone's story getting knotted like last year's Christmas lights. Brace for impact. The truth bomb is about to explode.
You all see each other, but you also have relationships with your exes.
But see, I admit what I've done.
I had a friendship with my ex.
And now...
That was all it ever was between him and I.
You leave the bar at 10:30, go to his house till 6 in the morning.
So? Because they wanted to go, and I wanted to go.
Okay, I've heard
it's because
enough
I didn't
of
have
this.
my phone. He
I've heard
stole
enough
my
of this,
phone
because
from me.
regardless...
Things just hit the feels train. The feels are real as Mr. Wright spills the beans about maybe not being the daddy. Emotions are flying high, and the suspense is through the roof. The big reveal is just around the corner.
She told me twice that it might not be mine.
She
and then
told you?
while she was pregnant. And then again, months ago, she told me that she wasn't
because
mine.
she just validated your assertion.
I mean, just a couple months ago, she told me. We got into an argument, and I was like, I'm going down and filing for full custody. I'm going to file for paternity test, and I'm filing for full custody. She was like, you might want to go file because she probably ain't yours anyway.
Oh, that's when she said it.
And now for the grand finale.
It has been determined, Mr. Wright, you are Ariana's father.
Buckle up, folks! The case kicks off with the court clerk rolling out the red carpet for the drama of Coates Hooker vs. Baker. Judge Lake steps up to the plate, and the plaintiffs, Ms. Hooker and her mom, strut in, claiming Ms. Baker's late son is the daddy of Ms. Hooker's kiddo. The circus is just getting started, so keep your eyes peeled.
Ms. Hooker, you are here with your mother because you say the defendant's son, Mr. Abraham, fathered your 10-month-old daughter, Kanaya. You say that Ms. Baker and her family's public denial of this child has caused you pain, and you are here for an apology and to prove her son is the father.
Things are getting juicy now. Ms. Baker and her daughter stand up for her son, Mr. Abraham, who's sadly not with us. They're throwing a curveball by doubting he's the dad because Mr. Abraham wasn't sure himself before he passed away. Get ready. It's about to get even more bonkers.
Ms. Baker, you and your daughter are here today to represent your son, Mr. Abraham, because tragically, he was killed 3 months after the birth of this child. You say that before his death, your son expressed great doubt that he was the father of Ms. Hooker's baby, and you are here to put the lies to rest.
Feel the heat turning up? Ms. Hooker spills the beans on how tough it's been, with Ms. Baker's crew denying her baby's paternity. She talks about feeling left out like the last kid picked in dodgeball, not caring what others think anymore. Brace yourself, because there's more drama ahead.
I'm just sad sometimes. I try to deal with it now. Like, I really don't care no more. That's how I feel. I don't care anymore. I don't care who feel nothing about my baby. I don't care.
It just seemed like everybody else was looking upside my head like I'm animals. Like, every
time I'm sitting down doing something, they looking at me like I'm the outcast of the group. She looked like me, so why is a problem? That's why I decided I don't care about nothing and none of that.
You'll never guess what's next. Ms. Coates jumps into the fray to defend her daughter, pointing fingers at Ms. Baker and her family for the heartache they've caused. She insists the negative chit-chat has really hurt Ms. Hooker. Just wait till you hear what pops up next.
It's not that she don't care. Her feelings been hurt, so she hold her guard up. It's not Ms. Baker who denies Kenaya. It's her family who makes my daughter to be his baby. She fat like them and a whole bunch of stuff. Never from Ms. Baker. It's always her family who always have something to say about my grandbaby. My daughter's feelings have been hurt.
Whoa, things take a serious turn here. Judge digs deeper into how Mr. Abraham died. Ms. Baker shares the heart-wrenching story of her son being shot and dying soon after, which really throws a shadow over everything. The emotional meter is about to explode, so don't go anywhere.
May I ask what happened to Keyshawn?
He was shot on a Sunday and he died that Friday.
I'm so very sorry.
A test done because of what the other young man said, and you know.
What did the other young man say?
He told Keyshawn that when he wasn't around, he was supposedly sleeping with Denita.
Now, here's a twist. A relative remembers Keyshawn acting all fatherly before he died, which kind of clashes with his iffy feelings about being the dad when upset. The plot thickens. What comes next is a real jaw-dropper.
Your mind, Keyshawn accepted that he was the father of this child.
Yeah, in my mind.
From the way he behaved at your home.
I think he just went off what they're saying in their circle of kids. You know, they talk, they have their...
The boy was telling him
that,
you know, when you were away...
Hang on to your popcorn. This part's a doozy. They dive into why Kenia wasn't mentioned in the obituary, stirring up a hornet's nest of feelings and making Ms. Hooker super upset. The tension's building, and you won't believe what's thrown into the mix next.
What did I do to her?
Oh, you can't go. Don't go there, Miss Blanche, because you know the truth is we're
all here to talk, honey.
This is
I ain't never said yay or nay. All I say is what my baby said to me.
Right.
I've talked to her, and she know why we here.
Exactly. And listen.
Yeah, I'm the one who
and
wrote
that's
the letter.
all I'm concerned with. All this other bickering, and I don't got time for it.
Grab your snacks. It's showtime. Moment of truth arrives with the DNA results. Drum roll, please.
Baker, Mr. Abraham, and Kenaya Abraham is 0%.
This is why right here.
Miss Baker, are you all right? Do you need to sit down? Do you need to sit down, ma'am?
There was a time I came home from work and there was a text message on the phone. I picked up the phone, they texted back, I texted, can we do the same thing that we did the last time we hung out? Said some things, and that's when the picture of the junk came through. And you know, that's what maybe, so I know something was going on.
Well, you do have a sugar daddy.
Yeah, I got a good sugar daddy. My sugar daddy been there for 10 years, have never ever left my side. I would never leave him. He come way before this. We've never had sex before. You know, he might want some pictures, but
You have a relationship, but he sure didn't have a problem laying me down the other night, did you?
She's lying, Your Honor.
But you were intimate with Ms. Billingsley the other night?
I guess it's jealousy. I don't know what it is, Your Honor.
Well, I will take a lie detector test on that one.
If she's...
Things are already heating up as Ms. Woodbury struts in, claiming she's 110% sure Mr. Cage is the father. Judge Lake, nodding along, gets it. Woodbury is here to clear her name in front of the world. But hold up, Mr. Cage has his own version of the story.
Ms. Woodbury, you claim you are 110% certain that your fiancé, Mr. Cage, is the father of your 1-year-old son, Lexington. You say your reality TV persona has put you in the position of having to prove paternity to Mr. Cage, but also all of the naysayers on social media and the world.
Mr. Cage spills the beans and admits he's had doubts since the beginning. Oh boy, here we go. He says that from the moment Woodbury was pregnant, heard rumors left and right on social media. She's not about to stay quiet.
Mr. Cage, you say your paternity doubt began when the plaintiff was pregnant because of the many rumors that came from friends and others on social media. You are hoping today's results will prove you are the father.
Ms. Woodbury is over it, blaming her reality TV image for making things worse. She's clearly fed up with the rumors about her character. Now, let's find out how this whole crazy relationship started.
I don't have feelings for no one else but this man. There's always gonna be people in his ear no matter where we go, just because I do have that reality star TV persona. It could be not even denying our son or anything. No matter what I do with my life, someone has an opinion.
Your public persona, often you're portrayed as a girl that's fun, carefree, living life. sexy, fun.
Their love story is something else, sliding into DMs to instant romance. Mr. Cage says they met thanks to a mutual friend on social media, and Ms. Woodbury invited him to one of her events. But trust me, it gets wilder after that first night.
Can you take me back to how you met and tell the court how you feel about this public persona?
I didn't get with her because of her persona. I got with her because of the person she was. When I first met her, she hit me up on Instagram through a Snapchat from a friend that she saw, and she was just like, hey, I have an event, you know, I want you to come out, I want you to hang out with me and some of my friends.
You can't bring your friend.
But you can't bring your friend.
Things got serious fast when they ended up together that night. No protection, no worries, just vibes. Ms. Woodbury and Mr. Cage say they didn't even label it a relationship at first, but the plot thickens with what people started saying next.
So what does that mean? Do the walkthrough.
Yeah.
I invited him back home, and then he didn't leave after that. He stayed.
What you're saying is you went back to your place, and you all were intimate on the first night?
Yes.
Did you use protection?
No.
Oh, y'all are doing the most. So we start off irresponsible.
Just when you think it can't get any messier, Mr. Cage shares how his friends warned him not to trust her. This definitely didn't help when Ms. Woodbury dropped the pregnancy bombshell.
I mean, like, people were always telling me, they were just like, even some of her co-stars, they were just like, hey, listen, don't trust Kaylee, she's out there. And I say birds of a feather flock together. So it was just like, oh, if you're hanging out with them, you must be...
Were you out there, Ms. Woodbury? Tell the truth. What was going on?
Then I wasn't sleeping around. I was having fun. I'm 21, but I'm going out dancing.
Ms. Woodbury found out she was pregnant, but Mr. Cage's reaction was priceless. He didn't believe her. She remembers feeling weird and going to get a test, which came back positive. He only half believed her even after the second test. But soon, he starts wondering who else might be involved.
So at some point, Ms. Woodbury, you find out you're pregnant. Take me to that day.
I think it was a year after we finally settled down, and I haven't been feeling right. I just feel weird. I just got up and went to the store. So I went up, got a test. Shortly after that, it said, positive, you're pregnant. Just yelled that to him, and I was like, hey, you're gonna be a dad.
So what was the response? Were you happy?
I was like, you're lying.
And here comes the plot twist. Mr. Cage starts suspecting. Then there's this awkward moment where the other guy pretty much hints the baby could be his. Mr. Cage recalls being in the car with this dude who goes, yeah, I got her, and the baby covered. Naturally, Cage's paternity doubts only got worse from here.
Like, we were in the car, and before we got out there, we were just letting him know that she was pregnant. And he was like, oh yeah, I already know. The baby gonna be good. That's my girl, you know, like.
That's my girl, but yeah, other people say that to our friends all the time, and you don't think anything of it, but when it's to me, it's like.
Because I know
to me, it's my
girl,
like, that's my girl.
The correct response would have been congratulations, right?
Yeah. As if things weren't complicated enough, Cage reveals everyone around him told him to get a DNA test. Things are definitely getting heated, and Cage admits the whole situation was messing with his head.
It started with people around her. They were very close to both of us. They're like, you need to get a DNA test because we don't even trust it.
I didn't know that.
When we were filming, and I told you specifically that me and this person sat down because she couldn't film. Yeah, you remember that now, don't you? She told me everything. She told me not to trust you. She told me about the guy, how not to trust you and the guy. She told me all of that, and she told me to watch out.
Judge Lake isn't holding back, telling Cage he's been acting supportive but secretly doubting Woodbury all along. But the doubt still lingers, and it's about to get way more intense.
You really weren't living your best life.
Yeah.
Right? And Ms. Woodbury, what it seems like to me is this public persona was affecting your relationship.
Very much so. And then especially when it's like our child, and you're gonna deny him, it hurts because there are fathers out there, are the father of a child, and they still deny it. And I obviously don't, like, you could 110% look, that's his.
Even though he had doubts, Cage was there for Lexington's birth and even signed the birth certificate. She knows there's more under the surface here.
He signed the birth certificate.
Signed the birth certificate.
I had to be there.
And now Lexington is a year old.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You're his daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You have a relationship and bond with this beautiful baby. And yet somewhere deep inside you, there's just that question mark that won't go away.
I just want closure.
But there's no denying him. Find a picture,
and it
looks
closure.
a spitting image.
Judge Lake calls out Ms. Woodbury, saying that trying to prove the resemblance just shows how insecure she is about it. Right when you think it's done, things take a wild turn.
When you start singing a song about, and see, says he's got dimples and he's got dimples. He's got an eye and he's got an eye. Right? What it tells me is there is doubt, and you are trying to give him facts to convince him. When you gotta convince, there's doubt. It just means that the doubt is real. Am I lying?
You're being 100%.
Surprise! Ms. Woodbury drops a bombshell. She's pregnant with Cage's second child. The suspense in the room is real, as Cage explains how he really feels about fatherhood.
In this courtroom, that's defunct testimony because it doesn't mean anything. So the truth is the stakes are really high because you're pregnant again, Ms. Woodbury.
I am. With the same man that laid with me the first time.
So we're having another baby. Have you thought about, what if Lexington is not my child?
We would have a long talk resulting in me going somewhere else. Yes.
Cage lays it all out, saying he'll always be in Lexington's life, but isn't so sure about staying with Woodbury. With emotions running high, Judge Lake moves to the moment of truth, the DNA test results.
I'll make sure of that, but with me and you, it's a whole different thing. I want to make sure that they're in a healthy family, not a broken.
So, Ms. Woodbury, I see the tears in your eyes. How did that make you feel? It was like the wind got knocked out of you.
It hurt.
And now his feelings about the relationship is that the relationship is contingent upon what's in that envelope Jerome had.
Boom, it's official.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Cage, you are the father.
Thank you.
Right off the bat, things get wild. Mr. McCormick says he thought Ms. Ball was the perfect girlfriend, but turns out she's a serial cheater, and he's not shy about calling her out either. This is gonna get messy.
Mr. McCormick, you say you thought you found the perfect woman until you discovered the love of your life, just a serial cheater on a rampage. You say Ms. Ball is a shameless adulteress, and there is no way you are her son Gavin's father.
Ms. Ball isn't letting that one slide. She admits she's cheated a few times, but insists that Mr. McCormick is Gavin's dad. But just wait till you hear his evidence against her. He brought props.
Ms. Ball, you admit to having stepped out on your relationship in the past, but you are positive Mr. McCormick is the father of your son, and you intend to prove paternity today.
Oh yeah, Mr. McCormick came prepared. He's got a whole exhibit on how to catch a cheater. He's all like, she loves trucks a little too much. It's both hilarious and a bit much, honestly.
Well, Your Honor, yeah, I found text messages, seen her getting in strange vehicles, seen videos. What haven't I found? Like, you know, there's no way that I could be this child's father. I'm starting to become numb to all this. It's getting old.
Your Honor, there have been several times I have cheated, and I've been honest with him and told him about the times I've cheated.
This guy takes things to the next level with some undercover detective work. He even got sent a photo that wasn't exactly family friendly. Yep, he's pretty sure she's guilty, but Ms. Ball is not amused.
There was a time I came home from work, and there was a text message on the phone. They texted back, I texted, can we do the same thing that we did the last time we hung out? Said some things, and that's when the picture of the junk came through. And, you know, that's what maybe, so I know something was going on.
Oh, yes, something was going on.
Judge Lake tries to make sense of this whole mess, but there's still plenty more for her to explain, and we're all ears.
All of this cheating leads you to believe that Gavin is not your biological son.
Yeah, and, you know,
all right,
all
Gavin
the situations going on, I'm thinking, how could this kid, you know, be mine?
He's crazy.
That was a lot of information.
He knows Gavin is his
But
child.
you have admitted to cheating.
I have.
You said that. I've admitted it.
Ms. Ball tries to back up her claim with some math. Mr. McCormick isn't buying it, though. He's still got questions, and things aren't about to calm down.
When the doctor did the sonograms, he estimated that I became pregnant around June 20th. As far as the advancements of the baby adds up, and he was early. I mean, he came 32 weeks.
So did you ever tell any of the guys you...
I had said I'm pregnant, but I wasn't going to leave Ryan.
Just when you think she's done confessing, Ms. Ball spills even more tea. She even admits she told this other dude she was pregnant. Judge Lake looks like she's heard it all, but she's about to get more details.
It's a relationship you carried on for 6 months, and whether you had sex 3 times or 30 times, you told this guy, I'm pregnant, you may be the father, but I get what you're saying. You immediately, because you're good at that, you just kind of spin your way out of it, because I'm staying with him.
No, I'm not going to make it be his.
Well, that's what you really are saying.
He chose. I gave him an option.
Mr. McCormick's doubts are now through the roof, folks. The only thing that'll settle this now is the paternity test, and they all know it.
It's like, you know, we had unprotected sex for, you know, years, and then, you know, or at least a couple years, and then when I found out she had cheated, then, you know, then she ends up pregnant. It just doesn't make sense.
That's paternity doubt right there, right, Jerome?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what we do here. Where do we go from here? If Gavin is not your biological child.
If he's not my biological, have to leave. I don't know. I'm pretty attached to him, Your Honor.
Everyone goes totally silent as the judge finally opens that DNA envelope. And surprise!
It has been determined by this court. Mr. McCormick.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are the father.
Thank you.
The things start to get even messier as Miss Serfozo spills about her wild days. You won't believe what comes next as the party days get even more complicated.
I found out I was pregnant. I was involved with somebody else.
If you think that was wild, wait until Miss
My best friend's house. And at that time, I found another.
But you do remember moving on and sleeping with her friend? That party remembers.
As if things weren't already off the charts confusing, Miss Serfozo talks about another. Just when we think this love maze can't twist anymore, we find out how Mr. Miller and Miss Dreyer discovered this maybe baby existed. The room's getting tense, but there's still more to untangle. Mr. Miller left before August. There's still another month he could have been around. And yes, this alibi argument is just the beginning of their back and forth.
That's right.
So August, February, I'm getting through the year, hold on. Sometime in September could have also been a window of conception.
Right in the middle of all this, Miss Serfozo shares how hard it's been raising her daughter without help. And if you think that's all she has to say, you're mistaken. She's just getting warmed up.
I want to do the DNA on this. I would be in this predicament, man. But I'm the one sitting here struggling to make sure she has the apples.
Now, these two keep digging their heels in, but it's clear this argument isn't going to settle down anytime soon. Judge Lake tries to bring some order to the chaos, watching the two women bicker like it's a reality show. It's almost time for the big reveal, but there's still some squabbling to get through first. This whole thing started off wild right from the jump. Miss Lee comes in ready to prove Mr. Green is definitely the dad of her 3-year-old son, Kingston. But trust me, this was just the warm-up.
Ms. Lee, you have come to court today with one goal in mind, to prove to Mr. Green that he fathered your 3-year-old son, Kingston. You say Mr. Green has denied your son from the moment you got pregnant, but today his denial will end.
Things only get crazier when Mr. Green starts talking. Mr. Green says Miss Lee's been ducking and dodging any chance of a DNA test, claiming he tried, but she kept giving excuses. But hold tight, it's about to get juicier.
And I try to reach out to her several times. She don't want to meet me in the middle. She always give me some runaround excuse for, you know what I mean, it don't make sense.
Mr. Green, even though you have doubt, you still have made an effort.
You know, I try to meet her halfway as far as taking the DNA test and things like that. But at the point me and her was talking, it was back and forth. We was never in no steady relationship. She knew I had a girlfriend already. She tried to break me up from that, and I told her
he moved into my home.
This part had the whole audience gasping and clutching their pearls. But wait, there's so much more coming.
So how did you explain to your girlfriend you lived in the house with Ms. Lee?
Oh, he couldn't. I called her.
She did.
Oh,
from his phone. So yeah, I snuck, called the girl, woke him out his sleep and made him start talking and didn't let him know she was on the phone until the end of the conversation to let her know, yeah, your dude over here and I'm pregnant, you know.
Whoa.
What it is.
In your mind, you knew you weren't really in a relationship with him, but he was trying to play both sides.
Right.
If you thought this was over, here comes the next twist. Miss Lee casually admits she has a sugar daddy who's been helping her out for years, and she swears it's not like that. And yes, there's even more craziness coming.
I had came out of my sugar daddy's car one day.
So you do have a sugar daddy?
Yeah, I got me a good sugar daddy. My sugar daddy been there for 10 years, have never ever left my side. I would never leave him. He come way before this. We've never had sex before. You know, he might want some pictures, but
This back and forth was hilarious, but also exhausting. Mr. Green brings out this timeline to show all the times he asked for a DNA test, saying she kept giving him the runaround. Just when you think one of them's got a point, another plot twist pops up.
First of all, he was born on June 3rd. I went to the hospital, so a few days later going by, she's telling me, oh, it's too soon for him to come outside. He was just born, this and that. She refused right then, Your Honor.
I refused because he was a day old.
Let's go ahead and get the DNA results done, this and that. Oh, my way out here in Douglasville, I don't have a ride. You gotta come get me. I'm like, why don't I have to come get you? Why you can't meet me halfway? So she refused then, Your Honor, too.
Things go from silly to serious real quick here. Miss Lee gets emotional, talking about how she just wants Kingston to have a dad because she grew up without one. But even after this, they keep going.
Why are you getting upset?
Because I feel like he been through this. So why would you do that to your only child? You get what I'm saying? Me, growing up, I mean, I didn't have a father. So I feel like if you went through all this, why would you do that to your child? I would at least go through it first and then find out. Mr. Green don't do nothing.
I do, Your Honor. Like I said, I try to reach out to her
How many times have you got your child?
You know what I mean?
This was the moment everybody was waiting for.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Green, you are the father.
Told you! I told you! Look at him!
This part is wild right off the bat. Ms. Billingsley says she's been covering over $10,000 in baby expenses all by herself since Mr. Broadnax won't help out because he thinks the kid isn't his. Now, we all just have to wait to see if this DNA test brings out the truth or more drama.
All because the defendant denies paternity of your daughter and refuses to help support her. You're suing Mr. Broadnax for half of those costs in the amount of $5,000 and claim today's paternity results will prove you right.
Yes, Your Honor.
This is like a ping pong match of accusations, both pointing fingers and saying the other cheated. The judge steps in, trying to figure out what exactly went wrong, but buckle up, this story is far from done.
Your Honor,
when it came
she
down,
skipped town with
I did.
my baby, supposedly my child, and she's so quick to skip town.
One, there was suspicion that he was cheating on me.
There's suspicion she was cheating, not me. There's suspicion she was cheating. That's why the baby might.
Now, Ms. Billingsley's really getting into it, talking about how excited she was to have a baby and start a family. You can feel the frustration building, and you just know this isn't the last we're going to hear about the parties.
I was 3 weeks pregnant when I found out I was pregnant. The first person I called was Mr. Broadnax to share the news because I couldn't have been more happy that I was about to have my. When I realized how constant it had become, I requested it to stop or I was going to leave.
Now, Mr. Broadnax has a reason for doubting. He found some "I miss you" text from Ms. Billingsley's ex. Plus, he heard she was hanging with some guys at her college. You can tell both of them are getting more defensive by the second. And this, he said, she said, is getting juicy.
So I picked up her phone and she was messaging her ex-boyfriend. I seen a message, hey, and I miss you. That's as far as it went. And then, okay, my friend went to college, the same college that she went to, the same school. That's all I told her, go to school. Bubbly, laughing, ha, ha, ha.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that colleges only consisted of females.
But this is a jaw-dropper moment. Ms. Billingsley claims Mr. Broadnax was recently with her despite having a girlfriend. The crowd's loving it, and the tension is thick, and we're all on the edge of our seats to see what'll happen next.
He sure didn't have a problem laying me down the other night, did you?
She's lying, Your Honor.
I'm lying?
But you were intimate with Ms. Billingsley the other night?
Well, I will take a lie detector test on that one.
She's my baby, Your Honor. I'm not a deadbeat.
You can't make this up. Mr. Broadnax says that if the child's his, he'd actually want to be with Ms. Billingsley, despite all the drama. Then the judge drops the best question. Does his girlfriend know he'd be down to get back together? The DNA test results are looking more important than ever now.
If it is my child, I would want to build a family with this woman.
Does your girlfriend know this?
No, Your Honor.
Well, Jerome, I don't think we need a lie detector test now, do we?
Shocker alert, Ms. Billingsley reveals she gave Bailey Mr. Broadnax's last name even though he never signed the birth certificate. The crowd's practically holding their breath, waiting for these results.
Did he sign the birth certificate?
No, Your Honor, I've submitted a picture of the birth certificate showing that he is not.
I wasn't able to see her get born or none of that, Your Honor.
Because he wasn't there for the birth.
So is there a chance he's not her biological father?
Just when you thought it couldn't get more tense, Ms. Billingsley admits to a brief hookup with another guy around the time she and Mr. Broadnax were having issues. Everyone's hanging on, waiting to see what the DNA test will say.
So there is a chance.
Due to the fact that when he was out of town and we were constantly fighting, call somebody and one thing led to another. It was not meant to happen, but it was not in any time.
Here we go, the big moment as the judge opens the DNA test results.
Mr. Broadnax, you are the father.
Now it's Mr. Weisler's turn to drop a bomb, sharing he owes almost $21,000 in child support, but thinks the kid might not even be his. But he's got to face some crazy twists first.
You say your paycheck is garnished each week, leaving you only $70. Today's results prove you are not the young man's father. You plan to return to your home state to get this enormous debt.
Just when you thought things couldn't get weirder, Mr. Weisler says doctors once told him he couldn't have kids, so how is he paying for one? He explains this whole medical thing that should have made him dad-proof, which he totally believed. And you won't believe where this goes next.
I always ask her, are you for sure it is mine?
You had doubts from the beginning?
Yes, ma'am. I had a torsion. You know, the doctor said right there, you're...
So the doctors told you you weren't
Yes, Your Honor.
able to have children due to a medical condition?
Things get even messier when Frazier admits there was someone else in the picture. But Weisler had already signed the birth certificate, basically locking him into dad duty. But trust me, we haven't even hit the biggest twist yet.
Him to have
You
your last
told
name.
me if I wanted that kid
To have your
my
last
last
name.
name and I wanted to claim him, I would be there for the birth.
Yeah.
And I was there.
That's
and
why
I
it's got
did
your
it.
last name.
And then it come out all this time.
At 6 months, you knew.
Yeah, at 6 months after birth.
And here's where it just gets bananas. Whistler says Frazier told him about the other potential dad, and the kid was already 6 months old. This is only scratching the surface of what's to come.
Were you told that there could be a question regarding the paternity?
Yes, Your Honor. He told me straight up, yes, it could be this other man's.
Because he was proud to have a son and not denying it like you.
He should be standing up if it's his kid. Why am I reliable to pay this over $21,000 when I was working?
Now the judge points out the obvious. Signing the birth certificate legally made Whistler the dad. The stakes are higher than ever, and we're only getting started.
Under the law, you are
Yes,
the
Your
legal
Honor.
father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand that when you were signing that birth certificate that day?
Yes, Your Honor, I certainly did, but there was no other ifs, ands, or buts about it. It was mine.
Then, it turns out, Whistler went all out to see his son over the years, even driving hundreds of miles. But every time, there were some last-minute hiccups. Just wait till you see how this story of missed visits and no-shows unravels.
Have you tried to develop any type of relationship?
Numerous times, I have traveled over 300 miles to come and see him, and I would call.
At your convenience.
And ask Miss Frazier. Sure. Then when I would get up there on my way over, I would call and say, I'm on my way.
In a surprising twist, Frazier reveals she actually tried to get the state to test the other guy, but no one ever followed through. But with this new piece of info, things are about to go down a whole new path.
He's been on the hook and responsible for child support?
I've tried to get them over and over numerous times to test the other man, and I've tried to get them to do it, and they have never done it.
So I pay for it until...
That's not me.
Yeah, it is the same thing as you.
Dallas himself finally steps in, and it turns out he's known all along that his dad might not be his real dad. Dallas reveals he calls Whistler dad anyway, and the crowd cheers, knowing this whole paternity saga is about to take another wild turn.
As I was growing up, I did believe he was my father, but I was always told that it could be somebody else.
You were always told.
Yeah, she was
Which is
always
consistent
honest.
with your mother's testimony that she always tried to list the other person. Do you refer to him as dad? Okay. Do you have a relationship with that man?
Not anymore.
Then Frazier says she tried to switch the birth certificate to the other guy's name to take Whistler off the hook. But this story is far from over as they're about to open the final chapter.
Firsthand, your mother make the attempt to change your birth certificate?
I've seen her try to get the other guy listed as the father.
So that the state wouldn't be going after him.
So you
Because I've never felt that he should have to pay the child support, and because it wasn't right.
Finally, the moment everyone's been waiting for.
Mr. Whistler, you are not his father.
Dallas, that still is not going to change my love for you and wanting to spend time with you.
I still love you too.
You never did nothing for my son. I'm the mother. I always did everything for my son.
We're
Only
supposed to
time
take
he
care of the kid.
contact me is when he drunk and he wanna have sex. We just had sex 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, we was drunk.
Right, that's the only way you contact me.
Throughout this pregnancy, as you prepare for the birth of Giovanni, was Mr. Lee present?
No. He was telling people I was just getting fat. He was like, she just eats a lot of fat. Friends were rubbing my stomach. I'm showing ultrasounds to people. He's like, don't believe her. She's just fat.
You know how
So you were broken up or on a break.
Like
She
to
was
get-
dating other people. You were dating other people.
I can't say she was body, but I know we was both. I seen her at a party with a dude, and that was the last. That was a couple weeks before we got back together. That's the last thing I could say.
Ms. Bruton is dead sure that Mr. Martin isn't the daddy of her kiddo Logan, and she's betting all her chips on her ex, Mr. Richardson, being the real deal. She's convinced that today's DNA magic show will boot Mr. Martin to the curb and reignite the old flame with Mr. Richardson.
Ms. Bruton, you claim to be 100% positive that Mr. Martin is not your son's biological father because your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Richardson, is. You say today's DNA test allow you to get rid of Mr. Martin, finally reconcile your relationship with Mr. Richardson.
Mr. Martin isn't having any of it and flips the script, insisting that Ms. Bruton played him into thinking he was Logan's pops. He's all in, believing today's DNA reveal will crown him the father. Emotions are high, and stakes are higher for Mr. Martin as he awaits the results. Next up, grab your 3D glasses. The plot is about to jump out at you.
Mr. Martin, you say Ms. Bruton led you to believe that you had fathered her 7-month-old son, Logan. You claim Ms. Bruton kept the baby from you in hope that she could build a family with Mr. Richardson and not you. Today, you believe the DNA results prove you are the biological
biological father.
Things heat up with a squabble about who Logan looks like more. Ms. Bruton stakes her claim on Mr. Richardson based on Logan's ears and nose. Mr. Martin counters with a calendar of their hookups, aiming to prove his paternity right there. The judge steps in to cut through the noise, highlighting the need for the DNA results to sort out this hot mess.
Logan looks just like Anthony. They have the same ears. I know he don't favor Mr. Martin at all.
I know I had unprotected sex around the time that she conceived. She might, many times she said I did, but I know 7%
No, Your Honor.
that it is.
We only had unprotected sex twice
Your Honor.
in my apartment.
It was 3 at her apartment, 2 at her family member house, 1 at my house, and 1 in the...
You know it only takes time anyway.
Yes.
During the pregnancy saga and after Logan popped into the world, Ms. Bruton admits she cut Mr. Martin out completely, all the while cozying up with Mr. Richardson, who even signed the birth certificate at the hospital. This bombshell highlights the telenovela-level scheming and potential for a legal smackdown depending on the paternity test outcome.
Mr. Richardson was at the hospital. I have no idea where Mr. Martin was because we wasn't in contact with each other.
Who signed the birth certificate?
Mr. Richardson. I didn't even let Mr. Martin know when I had Logan because I wanted Mr. Richardson to know all of that. I didn't want because I don't want him to be Logan's father.
You allowed Mr. Richardson to sign the birth certificate because you think he's the father or because you hope he's the father?
I think he's the father and I'm hoping he's the father.
Cue the dramatic music as the DNA results drop like a bomb.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Richardson, you are not father.
What?
Mr. Martin.
I told you.
What?
Are the father.
Buckle up, folks. Judge Lake kicks off the session for the drama-packed case of Susie versus Payne, where Ms. Sousis has brought Mr. Payne to court. She accuses him and his meddling mother of denying paternity of her adorable 10-month-old, Aleliana. Ms. Sousis is adamant about getting Mr. Payne's name slapped on the birth certificate once the DNA confirms he's the dad. Keep your eyes peeled. It's just warming up.
Ms. Sousis, you have dragged it into court today because you say it's his mother's fault denying your 10-month-old daughter, Aleliana. You claim when the DNA results prove he is the father, you want the defendant's name added her birth certificate.
You won't believe this twist. Ms. Sousis spills the beans on their chaotic 3-year romance, blaming it on Mr. Payne's over-the-top jealousy and controlling vibes, as they air their dirty laundry with Mr. Payne's sister, Henrietta, tipping in. It paints a sitcom-worthy picture of a super rocky relationship. Stick around, tea keeps spilling.
Why has this relationship on and off for 3 years?
So jealous and insecure about himself. Like, everywhere I go, he think I'm doing something. If I go to the store, I gotta be back in a certain time. Like, he's just crazy.
She been out there, Facebook messages.
You guys, they're both.
Of course I'm jealous. You were my boyfriend for like almost 3 years.
I would not be
you guys
jealous.
do the same thing to each.
Talk about a plot twist. Mr. Payne throws shade about not being Aleliana's real dad, pointing fingers at Ms. Sousis's shady escapades and a dodgy movie date with another dude right after they hooked up. The chat uncovers the unstable mess of their relationship and why Mr. Payne's got his doubt meter running high. And oh boy, just wait for what's next.
The first day after we started talking, she went to the movies with some other guy. Facebook messages telling her ex she love him, this.
But the next day you did something with another girl and you was telling your ex you loved her. So what's the difference?
You lying in court.
Ms. Sousis, you did contact your ex?
Yeah, I said I care for him. I never said I love him. He told his ex he loved her. And I did go to the movies with a boy.
The tension's thick enough to cut with a knife. The convo shifts to when Ms. Sousis was preggers. There's a storm of doubts about daddy duties, pushing Mr. Payne to demand a DNA showdown, underlining the trust issues still at the next bit is key. So don't go anywhere.
I want to ask you to be there through a pregnancy if it's not your child.
But I was there through the pregnancy.
But you really weren't.
But I wasn't though, because you wanted to stay away.
There was a time when someone came up to me in a supermarket right to want a DNA test because she moves around. This lady, she knows. I came home and told him.
Everybody got something to say about
Right,
you,
but I don't know the lady. You understand? So it's weird for someone to just come up to me out the blue. First of all, I'm like, how does she know about me wanting a DNA test?
Grab your tissues. Ms. Sousis gets real about the emotional roller coaster of raising Aleliana mostly solo, thanks to their never-ending bickering and Mr. Payne's hit-or-miss dad appearances. Their co-parenting drama could rival a soap opera, and it only gets more tear-jerking from here.
Even if it is his, like, it took you guys 10 months just to do this. Like,
you kept her away,
No, I did not.
Do that.
But
how did I keep her away?
He does.
But how did I keep her away?
I said I didn't do nothing at all. Got it.
Disappeared. You come in and out her life.
You come in and out her life. You did not want me around.
I did.
Let's get some order. Why so much anger? What is going on between the two?
Because they love each other.
Here's the scoop. They dive deep into Mr. Payne's trust issues, uncovering their on-off flings and side gigs during their breaks. This soap opera-worthy backstory adds layers to their complex love and the baby drama. Don't touch that dial. The truth bomb is about to drop.
We was both doing us before we got back together. I know how she moved. You know how.
So you were broken up or on a break.
Back
She was
together.
dating other people. You were dating.
I wasn't dating nobody.
I can't say she was body, but I know we was both. I seen her at a party with a dude, and that was a couple weeks before we got back together. That's the last thing I could say.
Were you having sex during the breakup?
No, we don't talk to each other until we decide we miss each other. Then that's it. Then that's when we have sex.
Big reveal is here, people.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Payne, you are the father.
Thank you.
Happy. Now I'm happy. Now I can be happy.
Oh boy, here we go. At the start of the episode, Ms. Jones lays it all out, accusing Mr. Fowler of not owning up to being the dad of their 5-month-old son, Adonis. She talks about her tough childhood without a dad and is determined not to let Adonis go through the same. Just you wait, it gets juicier.
Ms. Jones, you say that you and Miss Fowler have a 2-year-old together, furious that he now denies fathering your 5-month-old son, Adonis. You grew up without your biological father, and you're here to save Adonis from what you went through as a child.
And here's Mr. Fowler, no stranger to the courtroom, facing yet another paternity claim. He's all in on denying he's the father of the younger kid, setting the stage for some serious courtroom drama. Buckle up, because this ride's about to get bumpy.
Mr. Fowler, this isn't your first time in my courtroom. And once again, a woman is accusing you of fathering her child. Do you believe you are Amira's father?
No, I do not.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Fowler, you are not the father.
Things are getting heated now. Ms. Jones is upset that Mr. Fowler treats their kids so differently. This bit digs deep into the messy emotions and tangled relationships. Oh, and there's more drama ahead.
Ms. Jones, you're furious. He accepts one child and not the other?
Like, every time he comes to see his 2-year-old son, he forgets about Adonis. Like, when other people get in his head, Adonis don't exist. But when we all alone, that's his son.
No, I don't believe it's my child, Your Honor. I don't.
You can't make this stuff up. During a fiery exchange, Ms. Jones and Mr. Fowler throw accusations about who's doing what for the kids. It's a hot mess, and their relationship sounds like a soap opera on steroids. You gotta see what's next.
You don't help him.
That's
You
a lie,
never
Your
did
Honor.
nothing for my son.
Lying.
I'm the
Stop
mother.
lying.
I always did everything for my son. Just like you never did nothing for Kimari.
Right, whatever. We're
Only
supposed to
time
take
he
care of the kid.
contact me is when he drunk and he want to have sex.
Whatever. This is a lie.
We just had sex 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, we was drunk.
Right, that's the only way you contact me.
Wait for it. Mr. Fowler drops a truth bomb. He doesn't love Ms. Jones and doesn't want to be with her. Ouch, that's gotta hurt. But don't go anywhere. The emotional roller coaster's just picking up speed.
I don't love her. I don't want to be in a relationship with her.
This is exactly what I had to go through ever since Bobby was a baby. He brought other females around him.
Nah.
He had another female push my son in a stroller.
How many guys I coach you with in your house, though?
And none of them I slept with.
Judge Lake steps in, trying to be the voice of reason in this emotional chaos. She gives Ms. Jones some tough love and advice about self-respect and parenting. Trust me, you'll want to hear what happens next.
So bottom of the barrel. Once he broke off the line, I don't love you. If I were you, I'd be here for my son. Now you can keep rolling around with him and having sex with him every 3 weeks and giving yourself, let you know that you don't mean anything to him, or you can follow my lead and let me lead you out this mess towards the truth and towards somewhere where you can become the respectable young lady and the mother you need to be.
This is a full-on confrontation. Both parties are forced to face the harsh truths about their toxic relationship, with Judge Lake highlighting the impact on their kids. Keep watching, because the twists keep coming.
Were you sleeping with 1 or 2 people?
I broke up with my other boyfriend and
It was more than 2 people, Your Honor.
Ms. Jones, you are saying...
How many kids do you have?
You had another boyfriend, but you broke up with him to be with Mr. Fowler.
Yes.
Lie. That's a lie.
No, it's not.
Let's get to the timeline. You say, Mr. Fowler, the dates ain't right. Let's get to the date.
Just when you think it can't get any crazier, more secrets spill out about their rocky relationship and questionable decisions. It's a wild ride of he said, she said, and the climax is just around the corner.
During that time, I've been telling him I was pregnant already because I get my period every first of the month.
Lie.
March 1st came, I did not get my period. We had sex again March 14th. I found out I was pregnant March 24th.
Lie. Me and her had sex the day of Valentine's Day. I went to her house. I dropped my son off. I stayed and I spent the night. And I left the next morning.
You're
February
lying. You
14th.
don't need, you have sex with so many females, you don't even know who.
Whatever.
Get ready for the big reveal.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Fowler, you are not the father.
Easy and simple.
Buckle up, folks. This is the introduction to the case of Brewington vs. Lee, where Ms. Brewington aims to prove that Mr. Lee is the biological father of her 3-year-old son, Giovanni. She claims that Mr. Lee has denied paternity to avoid paying child support. Just wait until you hear what comes next. It's a real doozy.
Ms. Brewington, you are here to prove your 3-year-old son, Giovanni, is Mr. Lee's biological child, and you claim Mr. Lee has been up to your son since the day he was born and is denying paternity because he wants to avoid paying child support.
Here's where it gets juicy. Mr. Lee expresses his doubts about being Giovanni's father, suspecting Ms. Brewington of lying and using him for financial gain. Ms. Brewington counters by asserting her certainty about Mr. Lee's paternity based on their exclusive relationship and attempts to reconcile. Strap in, because the roller coaster is just getting started.
You say you've known from day one Giovanni was not your son, and you are here to prove Ms. Brewington is a liar and has been using you for money.
You're not going to believe this bit. The couple recounts the time surrounding Giovanni's conception. Mr. Lee insists they were not intimate during this period, whereas Ms. Brewington claims they were living together and sharing a bed, suggesting intimacy likely. The plot thickens in the next segment. Don't miss it.
Not only was I only sleeping with him, we were actually working on our relationship situation. We got back together. We're working on us. So when I found out I was pregnant, I didn't think it was going to be a shock prize or anything like that.
At the time that Gio was conceived, we were not having no type of intercourse. We were not cool at the moment.
You don't believe you were working on the relationship time Giovanni was conceived?
No, not at all.
Your Honor, I was living with him.
Oh boy, here it comes. Ms. Brewington describes discovering her pregnancy during a routine visit for birth control, leading to disbelief and denial from Mr. Lee, despite multiple positive pregnancy tests. She emphasizes that the conception coincided with Valentine's Day, referring to Giovanni as a love baby. Hold on, because the next part is even more of a whirlwind.
Found out that I was pregnant. I actually went to the doctor to just re-up on my birth control. They said, oh, you actually missed your last shot. I didn't even realize it. They said that they had to do a pregnancy test before they could go ahead with the birth control. It came up positive. I told him, he did not believe me at all. He went out and got 3 pregnancy tests, made me take all of them. They were all positive. And he was like, well, that's not my baby, because we didn't have sex.
Talk about a plot twist. As the birth of Giovanni approaches, Mr. Lee tells people Ms. Brewington is just gaining not pregnant. Despite his initial denial, Mr. Lee shows up at the hospital post-birth, signs the birth certificate, and even names the child. The courtroom is about to get even wilder. Keep watching.
Throughout this pregnancy, as you prepare for the birth of Giovanni, was Mr. Lee present?
No. He was telling people I was just getting fat. He was like, she just eats a lot of fat. Friends were rubbing my stomach. I'm showing ultrasounds to people. He's like, don't believe her. She's just fat. The entire time. I'm talking about, I'm going into labor. He's like, no, you're not.
What kind of denial is this? Mr. Lee, you taking denial too far.
Exactly.
Get ready for more fireworks. The court delves into the implications of Mr. Lee signing the birth certificate despite his denials and misunderstandings about his legal responsibilities as a father, which he did not fully comprehend. The next revelation is going to blow your socks off.
I figured when I signed it, I knew she was going to put me on child support. With the previous child that we had, I had to do a DNA test at the child support service. I figured if I sign it, they're going to take me right off after I do this. And then they said, no, we don't do a DNA because you already signed the birth certificate. She kept saying, not the case. They told me right away we don't.
You gonna learn making babies in the country and don't know the law. Because once you sign that birth certificate, you're the legal father.
And now, the grand finale.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lee, you are not the father.
Told you.
Hold up.
I already knew. I told you.
Can you believe the drama just started? Right off the bat, the case kicks off with the juicy premise. Ms. Livingston is stirring the pot big time. She's here to prove that her ex-hubby, Mr. Livingston, isn't the father of her 21-month-old cutie pie, Jordan. Instead, she's pointing fingers at Mr. Dorschlag, her former flame. Oh boy, you gotta see what's coming up next.
Ms. Livingston, you petitioned this court. DNA test on your 21-month-old daughter, Jordan, proved to your now husband, Mr. Livingston, that he is not Jordan's biological father.
Just when you thought it couldn't get spicier, Mr. Livingston isn't just sitting back, he's firing back, suggesting his ex is only denying his daddy status because she's got a thing for her old beau, Mr. Dorschlag. He's on a mission to prove he's the real papa. Buckle up because the roller coaster is just getting going.
Mr. Livingston, you claim that the only reason your ex is denying you are the father is because desperately wants to have a relationship with her ex-friend, Mr. Dorschlag, the man your ex-wife claims to be Jordan's biological father. So Mr. Dorschlag is waiting in the hallway and we will hear from him shortly.
This part's a real doozy. Ms. Livingston spills the tea on the whole baby-making timeline. She admits to juggling romances with both gents around baby Jordan's conception time. Then, plot twist. As Jordan ditches her dark locks for blonde hair, Ms. Livingston's suspicion grows because Mr. Dorschlag is the blonde bombshell in this saga. Hang tight. The next part is a jaw-dropper.
Around the time of conception, I had sex with another man.
But did you also have sex with Mr. Livingston? Why is it you believe that other man is your child's father?
My daughter, when she was born, she looked a lot like Mr. Livingston. She had dark hair and she had some of his facial features, but as she got older, she got blonde hair. Neither Mr. Livingston nor I have hair, but Mr. Dorschlag started to look a lot like Mr. Dorschlag.
Grab your popcorn. Here comes the sneak peek. Mr. Livingston does some Facebook sleuthing and discovers Ms. Livingston has been chatting up Mr. Dorschlag about potentially ditching him. Yikes! She's talking about making Mr. Dorschlag the new daddy figure. This tea just keeps getting hotter. Wait till you see the next bit.
And Mr. Livingston saw those messages on Facebook Facebook. And that was while I was
Only
6
after
months
I
pregnant.
had to go through her phone, through her Facebook app, to find out she was planning on leaving me for him.
We hadn't had the baby yet, Your Honor, and no, I did not going to leave Mr. Dorschlag. I said, I'm married. He is my child's father.
Cue the dramatic entrance. Mr. Dorschlag steps into the courtroom, rocking the boat by hinting he might just be the daddy after all, thanks to some striking similarities between his baby pics and Jordan's. Despite never meeting the kiddo, he's kept tabs through photos. Hold on to your seats, because the truth bomb is about to drop.
Yes, do you believe you are this child's biological father?
Your Honor, in a way, I do believe it because the eye color and the hair color of the kid. I have sat down and looked at my previous baby pictures and baby pictures of Jordan. I have came to the conclusion because of the hair color and the eye color, we do look similar.
That's exactly how I feel.
Here it comes, the moment of truth.
It has been determined by this court. Her biological father is Mr. Livingston.
I just wanted to know for sure.
So here's the scoop. Ms. Sanders, you kinda let another dude sign the birth certificate of your 6-month-old Caleb. Plot twist, now you're saying the real dad is Mr. Jamarvis Brady standing right there. Yes, Your Honor. And boom, she's hit the court with a DNA test request to prove Mr. Brady is Caleb's pops. Hold on to your popcorn, folks.
Miss Sanders, you admit to having another man sign your 6-month-old son Caleb's birth certificate, but now say that Caleb's real biological father is the defendant, Mr. Jamarvis Brady. Court for a DNA test to prove that Mr. Brady is your son's father.
Ms. Sanders spills the beans. Mr. Brady hasn't done diddly squat for Caleb since he was born. It's been all on her. Baby food, diapers, you name it, she bought it. And that stuff ain't cheap. Does he even visit the kiddo? Hang tight, because Mr. Brady's about to drop his side of the story.
He has not done anything, Your Honor. I had to get Caleb baby food. I had to get him diapers, clothes, everything. That is not cheap. Came through the neighborhood one day,
reason why
and he asked me if he could see my baby.
Why I take care of a baby that's not mine? I don't care about the baby being pretty. I care about if the baby mine or not. I take care of my responsibility, not another man.
Here comes the eye color drama. Mr. Brady doubts he's the father because of Caleb's green peepers. Nobody in his fam has them. Exhibit A. His entire lineage apparently missed the memo on green eyes. Oh, and the crowd's getting a good laugh. But wait, there's a plot twist with Ms. Sanders' eyes coming right up.
The first thing is the green eyes. No one in my family has green eyes. May I show you, Your Honor? Starting with my grandparents. My grandma don't have green eyes. My granddaddy don't got green eyes. My mama or my daddy. I'm trying to figure out where these green eyes come from that's on this baby, because it ain't my family.
It's getting real. Mr. Brady and Ms. Sanders are airing out their dirty laundry. Breakups, makeups, and baby drama. Oh, and Mr. Brady's been sulking because Ms. Sanders bounced back to her ex. The saga continues, and Ms. Sanders' mom is about to step into the ring to throw some punches, verbally.
He saying he don't want me, but he constantly takes my phone, somebody, so what's up?
I come to the house, dudes coming and going all the time. Like, I left her house.
Tell me that dudes coming and going, but you
I left her house and the dude.
So you telling me that if you see somebody with your girlfriend, you ain't gonna get mad and try to fight?
My girl. We was broken up.
So you ain't gonna get mad and try to fight? Stories are not matching up. It don't make no sense. If I was to see.
Enter stage left, Ms. Durham, Ms. Sanders' mama, ready to set the record straight. She's been picking up Mr. Brady's slack, buying all things baby. And just when Mr. Brady thinks it's all about the potential, Ms. Durham is about to give him a reality check. Fasten your seatbelts. The DNA results are coming up faster than you can say Maury Povich.
This is my first time ever seeing him. Since Caleb's been born, myself and my husband step up. We buy this baby everything when she needs help. We step up. I called Mr. Brady and I said, this is ridiculous. Caleb is 6 months old. You're gonna step up. When are you gonna participate in raising your son?
That's what the dad's for. I'm not.
Yeah, but
I'm not taking care
well, you
of
just said
child.
all she is my potential child's mother.
Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this Mr. Brady. You are not.
I told her that.
Sit down.
I told her.
Sit down over there.